All right, welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Edge. This is an RPG-centered podcast, and today we have a variety of topics. Before we get into that, my name's Hat.
And I'm Eric.
And today we're going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts 3. It looks like Square and their financial reporting stated that it looks like the game's going to come out in 2018 for sure, and we're going to speculate and talk about that. And after that, we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch Online announcement. There's some more details regarding what exactly that is, and it's been all over the internet lately, so we want to talk about that. And then as a follow-up news item to previous podcast episodes, we've been following the Atari VCS. It's a new console from Atari, and it looks like it's going to be available for pre-order soon, so they released some more information about that, so we want to talk about that. And then also, we have a topic suggestion from one of our listeners, Joe Al. Let me know if I'm saying your name wrong, but he says, what would you guys like to see the PS5 feature besides being a graphical upgrade to the PS4? Now, we're a little light on the RPG news this week, but these are all big topics, and we are a gaming podcast as well, so we're going to hit these topics up and see where it goes. So, but before we get into that, as usual, Eric, have you been playing anything that this week that you want to talk about?
Nothing new or substantial I haven't talked about already. It's a mix of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I've already almost beaten that, and God of War. I've been going in and out of that a little bit. And, of course, I always feel like putting Breath of the Wild in. I did play Wild Guns on the Switch with a friend of mine recently. I mean, that's a fun arcade shooter if you're looking for a quick, good time. It's not long at all. If you're good at the game, you can beat it in less than 30 minutes. But it is very hard, though, because it takes you all the way back to the first stage if you only get hit just a few times. So it's really suggested you get multiplayer for it. But besides that, really nothing new this week, especially not RPG-wise. What have you been playing?
Well, I finished up everything I needed to school-wise, so I'm done now, and I wanted to get caught up here with Xenoblade Chronicles, and I've been playing that up this week, and I've kind of decided I'm going to try to wrap this game up no matter what in the next 2 weeks. That's my hard goal here, so we can finally have that discussion. This is a long game. It's a good game, but it's a very, very, very long game.
It is.
I've been kind of... What's that?
I mean, it is. I agree with you. It's very long.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like I've been playing like almost like 3 games, but you know, hey, it's been a good ride. So I'm kind of in that mindset now that I'm kind of going to be seeing the light here. That what I want to bring up as criticism for the game, what I want to say is positive. Kind of trying to think of those things this week. So if you guys got any comments about Xenoblade Chronicles that you want us to bring up on that episode, just make sure that you leave those in the comments this week or next week, and we'll try to consolidate those if there's a lot of those and bring them up in that episode. But I don't want to spoil anything or any of my thoughts. I'm still kind of working them out. So, and Eric, I know you're a big fan of that game, so I'm sure it's going to be
I have plenty to talk about. Might have to throw a little refreshers on myself here and there, but yeah, that's one I'll be glad to talk about.
Awesome. So I'm excited about that. But moving on to our first topic, Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, this is something you sent me a link to, and I kind of looked into it a little bit more, and I thought it was pretty interesting. It looks like recent financial reports from Square Enix was released on like a month ago about. But in that, Square Enix was talking to their shareholders, and they were saying that for like, you know, upcoming year, you should be excited about having your shares with us, or owning shares for Square Enix, because you have a number of things coming out this year that are going to increase the value of the company. And so they mentioned some games that we already know about, right? So Octopath Traveler, July 13th. We already know about that. Shadow of the Tomb Raider on September 14th. Cool.
Dragon Quest 11.
Yeah. Well,
in September. You forgot the most important one, Hat. Come on, man.
Well, I didn't see that specifically mentioned in the article, but we do have a release date for that, so I'm surprised they didn't bring that up.
Don't worry, I'll give them a call later.
Yeah, let them know how much they messed up. Maybe it's because of the West. I don't know, because it was already released. I don't know. But anyways, the big thing here that they did mention was Kingdom Hearts 3 in late 2018. So, of course, they could still delay the game. Everyone's expecting the game to come out this year, but Square has not actually given an official release date. But given the fact that it's May and Square is still saying that it's coming out this year, and they're putting in official documents such as their financial reports that they're planning on releasing it this year, that at the very least it's coming out real soon. So did this surprise you at all, Eric? Because I mean, it didn't surprise me, but it is kind of exciting that like it's kind of an actual first glimpse of an actual almost release date when they say late 2018.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but what I'm thinking is that they've intentionally been hush hush for the time being right now and showing off a little bit here and there to keep people's hopes up and not be like FF7 Remake right now where they really actually don't have anything to show. But they've been showing off a little bit of things here and there. They showed off the Monsters Inc. world, and they showed a little bit more trailers like with Toy Story. And I have a feeling that they are going to make a big announcement in E3. They're going to give a definitive date, and then they're going to probably like Final Fantasy 15 levels market push this product until it comes out. I'm sure it's going to be advertisements everywhere. They're going to do probably some form of collaborations, possibly. I mean, I should see it coming, and I think Disney themselves may actually offer a helping hand in some way or form.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest last piece of the puzzle here, because we've seen so many worlds now that it's like hard for me to believe that it's like everything we've seen thus far has been really far along in development, much further along than anything we've seen from the 7 remake for sure, and that's to be expected. But that's the last piece of the puzzle that I'm still waiting on to know is the marketing. Seeing Kingdom Hearts 3 information being dropped on YouTube on like a bi-weekly basis. We haven't really seen that marketing push yet, so I'm sure that'll happen after E3.
And I guarantee you at E3, I'm calling it right now, when they do an announcement, they're going to show off 2 more worlds. They did say there won't be as many worlds, so I think they're going to probably show the last of what they have in stock. And they did say that Big Hero 6 is confirmed, and we had like a concept screenshot of it, but we never actually saw interaction in that world. I think they're going to show off that world, and I think they're going to show off Frozen. Frozen has got to be in there. There's just no way. That movie was so big that, I mean, I think Mickey Mouse himself would be breaking that door down, slapping Tetsuya Nomura around and saying, why didn't they not put Frozen in the thing? But that's got to be in there.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, well, I'm in agreement with you. It has to be. I mean, I've seen so much buzz about it. Like, it's like, why would that seems like such an opportunity? But the only thing I've kind of seen that's kind of got me a little nervous about this is that a couple of people I know have speculated that this game's going to have a lot of the same type of DLC that 15 had, where like, okay, you want this world, you got to pay extra, and I really don't think so, because Kingdom Hearts didn't have quite the development problems that 15 had. But I certainly hope not. What do you think? You think that's a possibility?
I mean, it is a possibility, but I don't think it will be bad to the level of FF15. I think they're going to make I think they're going to at least make a very complete experience out of it. Maybe they'll add more DLC bosses and such, or add some kind of campaign where you're like Riku or Kairi. That's very possible, or Mickey Mouse himself. But I don't think the main Sora campaign is going to be tampered with. I don't think there's going to be where was Goofy when he got lost from the gang or something like that.
Goofy comes back with a scar on his chest.
Yeah. And he's not going to come back and you're like, oh, hey, Goofy, welcome back.
Goofy's missing an eye and they don't even bring it up. Like,
Gosh, the things I've seen, man. But I don't think they're going to do that. I do think, but if they want to make a complete experience with like Sora's campaign, and then add like mini campaigns similar to Chain of Memories, where they had like a small Riku campaign, like after you beat Sora, I think that's perfectly fine. If they want to make DLC like that and make like a campaign for Riku or Kairi or any other character they want to make, that's fine as long as the main game has a full $60 experience with it. Then I won't get up on Square Enix about anything, because the concept of DLC is fine if it's like placed on top of an already completed game, not something you ripped out of the game and decide to sell later as separate DLC. That's very bad. But if they want to make like a whole new campaign after Sora's done, sure, why not?
Yeah, and I think I would hope that game developers are starting to learn that their audience isn't stupid. I mean, we can tell when something was just ripped out of the main campaign. We're not stupid. But one thing that I think is for sure, like, tells me that like this will not be the case like 15 was with Kingdom Hearts, is you got to remember, like, Nomura, he's an artist, right? He very much cares about the finished product, and that like he views his projects as artwork basically, whereas Tabata, he was more of a businessman, and I think Nomura is much more has much more clout with Square. So I would imagine if they're trying to do that stuff with Kingdom Hearts, I would imagine if Nomura was able to get CyberConnect 2 to pull out, right, or pull it back in house for the 7 remake, I imagine he has some clout with the Kingdom Hearts game as well. I mean, I could see him putting his foot down and being like, no, you're not doing this. And whereas with Tabata, with the 15 thing, I mean, he wasn't much. He was more about career-wise, getting the project done, building his career, it seems like to me anyways. So I imagine he was a little bit of a pushover in that regard. But yeah, with Nomura being an artist, that's his main trade. I don't see him really giving into that idea too much, you know?
Yeah, and I think 15's issues were down to a lot more than, because I truly wonder if that's really the product they wanted to release and the way it was. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think time constraints were a big thing on it. Kingdom Hearts 3 looks like it's coming along very well on many aspects. They've always said, like, right now, they said just positive things every time. They're like, yeah, it's coming along swimmingly. No real issues or anything. I mean, that might be PR talk. I mean, for all I know, they may be doing unnecessary, like, just complete overtime on it and just rushing, like, you have to get it out before 2018 or something like that. But we don't know that. But just from what it looks like in the outside, and they're showing off trailers and they're showing off gameplay. So I think they're feeling a little confident about that release. I never thought it was going to be pushed to 2019. Would I be surprised if it got pushed to 2019? No. But I never have thought that it would get pushed to 2019. I've only accepted it as a possibility. So yeah, I do think it's going to come out when it does. It's going to be marketed to hell, like to the point that it might actually get annoying. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they'll do any crossovers or not, because it's still Disney in there. So you do have to take them into consideration when you do these these collabs with other companies. So you have to ask yourself, like, if you did something with, say, I don't know, just for example sake, like Coca-Cola, I'm like, is Disney okay with collaborating with Coca-Cola for this? Chances are they may be, but you have to go through them for a lot of things. So they may back off on collaborations that are, beyond Disney, because if anyone's who's going to get trouble with it, it will be Disney. They do not want their characters represented by a product that they don't want their business associated with. So Square Enix does have to be very careful on that. With something like FF15, I mean, they can collab with whoever they want, put whatever they want on there. I mean, it's Final Fantasy is their product, and Kingdom Hearts is ultimately their product, but Disney allows the Disney assets on there. So, Disney definitely does have a say on, what they put in there and not put in there.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I, as far as release dates go, I don't see Disney really insisting on a pushback though. So I'm not expecting the game to be delayed. I'm expecting it to come out this year. And, the fact that they're putting it in their financial reports and it's this late in the game, I mean, it tells me that it's coming out this year. I mean, I guess we could have, like, maybe, let's say at E3 they say, oh, it's going to come out in October, and then I could see them doing like a month delay or something like they did with 15. But aside from that, I don't. I'm
Like
expecting.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was just gonna say I'm expecting to see the game soon. So.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm genuinely excited for that one. I mean, the gameplay looks just absolutely solid. It looks like they took a lot of what worked in Kingdom Hearts 2 and like what worked in their smaller titles, like handheld titles, and put it in this game. And just from everything I've seen so far, and a little on top of that, I mean, this gameplay wise, this game looks like very solid. And if it plays even better than the what was it, like the 0.2 demo that we got to play? I mean, because that game felt pretty solid itself. And if it's actually better than that, like they're saying it is, then we're in for a really good game.
Yeah,
but, convoluted story aside.
Yeah. I'm not like a giant Kingdom Hearts fan, but just watching a lot of the trailers for this game, the combat seems very, very fluid. Just the transitions and between different skill sets and like just the animations involved, it all seems very, very polished. And so yeah, I think it's going to be really, really good. I'm excited for it, man. I'm going to get it on day one.
No, me too.
But speaking of games coming out this year, I did want to do a quick tie-in. I forgot to mention it in the intro, but I've been seeing all over the place about the recent Walmart Canada leak, supposed leak, but it's people are pretty sure that it's real because I've been seeing some like IGN and different places like that reporting on it. Bethesda's pretty much came out and said at least what pertained to them was real. But basically, there is a list of about 40 games that was published briefly on Walmart Canada's website, and it didn't have like the cover art or anything, but just had the names and like black backgrounds and like the console it was going to be on, and it was available for pre-order. And it was up for about an hour before somebody frantically went through and had to like delete all of it. And Walmart came out and said it was a glitch and it shouldn't have happened. But there's been quite a bit of buzz about the games that were brought up. So I got a webpage open here. I'm going to look at these real quick. Just kind of touch base with it. So there's an Assassin's Creed game that was released on there, Beyond Good and Evil 2, Borderlands 3, Destiny Comment, Dragon Quest 2. They believe it was a typo for Dragon Quest Builders 2, Dreams, Final Fantasy 7 Remake as a pre-order, Gears of War 5, Forza Horizon 5, which I think that's a typo, Insurgency, Sandstorm, Just Cause 4, Last of Us 2, Lego DC Villains, Metroid Prime 4, NBA 2K19, Rage 2. That's been getting a lot of buzz because Bethesda actually tweeted about that one. And then Splinter Cell, Super Smash Bros. On the Switch, Tom Clancy Division 2, and WWE 2K19. So with that, there's been a lot of people speculating with that, but I thought it was kind of interesting some of the games that were on there.
Metroid Prime 4 and Smash Bros. Is all I needed to hear.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much like it's pretty much a given that this is I mean, this list came from somewhere, right? Walmart's just not like making lists. So the fact that Final Fantasy 7 Remake was put on there as like a pre-order and it's so close to E3, I'm looking at that like, okay, did Square tell them to put that there? And if it did, I kind of wonder with like Kingdom Hearts 3 definitely probably getting a release date at E3 this year. Are they going to drop a 7 Remake trailer also? I mean, do they really want to take away from the Kingdom Hearts 3 hype? Or, I mean, I don't know, but it seems to me like I'm kind of expecting a 7 Remake trailer now. So, I mean, I've been expecting a remake trailer every year, but this kind of adds to it, but
yeah, I don't even know how close retail has with these companies. I mean, do they really need to? It's like you can announce your game and then give the information to the company, and afterwards they'll put the pre-order up. I'm kind of wondering what the thing is with giving them information ahead of time. So that's why I feel so iffy about this. I mean, chances are it's true, but I mean, they have like a lot of weird and awkward ones in there, and I mean, they could be right. I mean, it did immediately get taken down from what I hear, so it could be true, but I don't even know what to say about it. It just
well, but Bethesda tweeted about Rage 2, and they were like, "Okay, Walmart, that was the wrong font. That wasn't the correct box art," and they were just making fun of it because it was just a black background and everything like that. I don't know. So it was kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, a lot of these though are actual ones, like Last of Us 2. We're expecting that. Borderlands 3 was confirmed like a week ago. So Dragon Quest Builders 2, that's believable. So I mean, hey, Super Smash Bros. Switch. So and the thing is, it's Walmart too. So it's not like it's some guy deleted his Twitter page. Like, for some reason, Walmart put these games in there. Like,
so we can absolutely confirm it's Walmart. Did multiple people print this page, or?
Yeah, Walmart responded about it.
Really?
Yeah, and they apologized for it.
Oh, well, that's different then.
Yeah, so because I'm looking at it like, well, Walmart didn't just say one day like, I'm going to put Borderlands 3 in here as a pre-order. Like, somebody told them to do that.
Maybe they predict themselves what's going to be at E3 and make pre-orders for it ahead of time.
Yeah, they could do that. Yeah,
that's a good possible point. Or it just feels weird. It just feels weird that multiple companies have already gone out to Walmart and said, "Hey, this is what we're announcing at E3. Just keep it hush hush." Mm-hmm. And I feel like stuff like that gets leaked out really quick, especially like places like Walmart or other retails. I feel like someone would pull it out there, but
what I find interesting is like, well, you can't really say anything about release dates, right? Because I mean, you could have pre-ordered the 7 remake a year ago on Amazon, and the game's still not out. So, but yeah, just the fact that it was not on Walmart and now it is, it kind of makes you wonder. Did they get told to do that, or did they, like you said, are they trying to predict it themselves? Why was that information there? So, but yeah, Walmart did come out and apologize, and they said it was a computer glitch and blah blah blah. So
I'll just say this: I'm skeptical about it, but I'm very open to the possibility of it being real.
Watch E3 this year, just like this is the lineup, the exact order.
It's like, well, we were going to surprise you guys this year, but Walmart just screwed it up. Like, and just every president of each company just standing there, be like, "Thanks, Walmart."
So there's just like a 40-minute video, and it's just like all these games, one trailer after another, and you're like, "All right, that's it."
Yep, that's enough E3. Actually, I have a feeling that's what E3 is going to be. Nintendo's already jumped on that train, kind of, where they just they make a video already, fully edited and everything, and just show it off, and that way they make everything look great and perfect the way they want it to. Because a lot of these E3s, you have developers coming up, they're trying to show you off their game, but something bad happens all the time, or they get someone up there that has just like no connection to the crowd that they're in front of, and they just look really awkward what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and the last thing you want is for like the game to run into a bug or something like that in front of like an entire crowd or something like that, dude, I don't even blame them for doing that. That's what I would do. So
yeah, even Nintendo had trouble with that when they were showing off Skyward Sword the first time. Miyamoto was up there and like they couldn't get the controls to work. The Wii remote wasn't responding like they wanted to. And where everyone was like, "Uh-oh."
Dude, that must be such an awkward feeling when you're in front of a crowd and this is going to be like a sensational video clip on YouTube, and you're just like, "Oh my God, why am I in this video right now?" And
yeah. I mean, Skyward Sword controls worked well enough in the end, but
yeah, I
mean, some of those troubles were there that they were presenting on stage, without a doubt.
Yeah. Anyways. So that's about all I got to say about that.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to talk about Nintendo, we can go transition to our next subject, which is Nintendo finally announced their online details for the Switch.
Boom.
It's coming out in September, and it's going to be at the very surprisingly cheap price of $20 a year, which is really good. That's like less than $2 a month.
Yeah, I think it's like $1.80 roughly. So that's really cheap.
And what it includes, just going off the top of my head, it includes you can do cloud saved. You can save your data to their cloud servers. So, like, if you have someone like me who has over 350 hours of Breath of the Wild over here, and if I lose that data, I will lose myself. You may not see me for a few weeks. I'll be in a bad place. But with those cloud saves, I will definitely take advantage of it and upload that data to the cloud.
This is actually there's a lot more stuff there, and I know you got more, but this is actually the biggest thing that I saw with the save data being on a cloud as a backup. I was surprised to find out that was already not a feature because I guess currently if your Switch breaks, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if they transferred, if mine got bricked for any reason, my data's gone. There's nothing much to it. I mean, I can get my Ning back and I can get my downloads back, but I can't get my save data back. And that's going to hurt more than anything.
I'm surprised. It is only like $1.80 a month, but I'm surprised they're charging for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sony does that too. I think they charge, you got to be on PS Plus to have their cloud data. I'm not sure about Xbox, but I think Sony does that also.
Really? I don't know. I just never plan for stuff to break, so.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, none of my products ever broken except my PS3 where the GPU went out. But besides that, my systems have usually been pretty good. The next thing is, this one's actually really cool, is that they're similar to PlayStation Plus. They are going to offer, starting with NES games, and they're going to be 20 lined up already when the online service launches, like the first 3 Super Mario Bros. Games and Legend of Zelda and other games like that, Balloon Fights, stuff like that. But if you're on the service, it's not going to cost you anything. As long as you have an active subscription, the games that they have available on it, and they're already considering Super Nintendo, and these NES games you can just download for free, put on your Switch. I mean, free as it can be if you're on the active service, but
sure,
you can put it on there, and you don't have to rebuy them or anything like that. As long as you are on active subscriber, you can download these, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at they have a list of 20 games. I'm pulling it up right here. They got soccer, tennis, balloon fight. Let's see, Ice Climber, Donkey Kong, Dr. Mario, Mario Bros, Super Mario Bros 3, and The Legend of Zelda. But they said more are going to be added later. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. They're adding those in there. I think some people were kind of disappointed because they're hoping it was going to have more of a system like the Wii U had, where it just had this like giant collection of past games. But it says they're going to add more to it. So,
I mean, even the Wii U library had to build up. I only had like a few games to start for each console that they're releasing. But there were rumors from a source that's been known to get leaks and to get leaks correctly with Nintendo, is that they are planning on getting Game Boy Advance games on there too very soon.
That would be sick. I would be all about that.
Oh man, Metroid Fusion or Metroid Zero Mission, or even Zelda Minish Cap.
Yeah, dude, Game Boy Advance was just a great mobile console in general. So,
or play the Golden Suns on your Switch.
Yeah, that's mainly what I was thinking. I play the crap out of those. So, I mean, that'd have a great library. So if they could, that's what they need to be doing. They need to be capitalizing on that market. I think they've kind of realized that because, you know, with the NES the Nintendo Classic and then the Super Nintendo Classic, I think they've finally like occurred to them like, oh wow, people really like these games. So
yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, yeah, on top of that, I mean, the one downside to the service is that the free online service they've been offering now for people who get on things like ARMS or Splatoon, unfortunately, it is going down. and you will not be able to play online again unless you pay for the subscription. But they did warn everyone about this ahead of time. So it's not like they're just announcing this out of the blue and saying, sweeping you under the rug. They said like firsthand that like, we want to test the online function. So for now, we're going to offer it to you for free, but we are eventually going to have to set up a service you do have to pay for if you want to keep continuing using it. And they won't force you to use it. You can just refuse and just say, hey, I don't want to, I don't want to pay for it. I don't think their online service is good enough to pay for, which, I mean, you'll be in the right for do so. But just saying, if you've been enjoying it for free, then, sorry.
Yeah, that is one thing I did see, because people kept pointing out like Splatoon 2 that just came out. Well, not just came out, but came out in the last year or so. Like part of that game, a very heavy part of that is the online component to it. So the fact that people bought it and didn't realize later they're going to have to pay to play it, that kind of sucks. But at the end of the day, it's $1.80 a month. I mean, how many of you don't buy an energy drink or a coffee or a miscellaneous soda, in a month? Like, I'm sure whoever's listening to this hits a vending machine up every now and again, and probably spend around $1.80. So it's not like they're robbing you blind. And I did see also that they're offering also a family plan. So you could get for $35.99 a year, you could get a family plan, which will be up to 7 Nintendo Switches for $35 a year. That's phenomenal. I don't even know. Like, I mean,
that's
you
good.
Get like 7 of your friends.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say the same thing. Like, if you got 7 friends, join together, and I mean, that might be a little more complicated because you're getting like 7 credit cards involved somehow. But you could technically be paying cheaper a year if you want to put the effort in.
Well, I mean, you could have everyone come together and be like, hey, everyone bring a $5 bill on Thursday and one guy pay, but
yeah.
But I mean, come on now. You don't even need to do all that. Just pay the $1.80 a month.
Yeah. And the other services they have, like the 1 month and the 3 month, I mean, those already look like ripoffs. Don't do that. Just pay for the 1 year for $20 and you're paying less than $2 a month for it.
I think if you want to pay like monthly, it was like $7 a month or something like that. Then
I don't think that much. I think it was like $4 for a month.
All right, you know what? It's $7.99 if you wanted to pay for every 3 months or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then the other thing I saw that they're having on there is the Nintendo Switch Online app. So if you're part of this service, you can voice chat with your friends, purchase items and games, which I didn't really like that, but I guess that's kind of cool. You can do it on your phone.
Yeah. This is their solution to voice chat, or that really complicated setup they had for it that you can find on a picture on Google. And this is the one downside, definitely, that I've seen a lot of people bring up, is that like the poor support for voice chat through an app phone or a really complicated wiring setup for the Switch. And people are like, I'm paying monthly for this service and they can't even do something as simple as let you put a simple mic in.
Yeah, just have a mic input and just like call it a day. I mean, you can, I
mean, I've looked at it. It is very silly that Nintendo makes you go through all that trouble just for voice chat that's so simple on other consoles and PC that ideally it should be that you just plug in a headset like one I have here right now, plug it into the top of your mic and it should be able to detect it. And you can use that.
If you're going to make me,
Nintendo can't do that.
It's kind of dumb. They're saying, if you pay a monthly price, you get to voice chat with your friends on an app on a cell phone. It's like, how about? I mean, it's only $1.80, but I'm like, how about I don't pay that and I just use Skype?
Yeah, even then, right. I wonder if you could take I wonder if you can take a headset like this and plug it into your smartphone app on Nintendo and use the mic like through here.
Yeah.
And use that instead and still get like quality audio, which I don't want to use my smartphone for it. But if that's like the only really choice I have, then I mean, I guess whatever. But I mean, I agree with people that it's really dumb how Nintendo did it. And they really should know better than that. I know they still like to live in the year 2006, but you know, that's something that you really should have like gotten up to date and through it quickly. But
it's kind of an odd. It's a very petty thing, I think, to complain about, but it is interesting because the Nintendo Switch is so innovative in terms of letting you play the game how you want, right? You don't have to have a controller where, it's really like stuck in your hands like a typical controller. You can hold the controllers at your side, or you can you can lay down on your bed and just have each arm comfortably, on each other end and play the game that way. You can take the game mobile. You can put it on your TV. They put so much effort into like letting you play the game you want to, or letting you play a game the way you want to. But then when it comes down to like something like voice chat, they're like, yeah, we're not going to have a jack for a mic. We're just going to make you use this frustrating other thing that's like just annoying to use. It's kind of weird because it doesn't really gel with what the Switch is supposed to be. But then again, it is a pretty petty thing because, I don't play a lot of online games, especially on mobile, so...
I'm definitely going to take advantage of it when Smash Bros. Comes out. And
yeah, I could see something like that for sure.
I've heard someone mention this before, and it is a very... I have a feeling that Smash Bros. Is going to come out in September.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that's going to be the biggest motivation to get everyone on the online service, is to have a game as big as Smash Bros. Come out on September around the same time as the online service. Because I guarantee you, there's going to be enough people who are going to be willing to pay $20 for that service and see how great it is. Because you're going to open an online service, and like a lot of people are not going to pay attention to it, especially people who don't play online games on it right now, like Mario Kart, ARMS, or Splatoon 2. Yeah. So you really need something like on a fishing hook to reel people in quickly on it. And Smash Bros. Is a pretty ideal game to get people on your online services and see what you have to offer.
Well, that's what sold the Switch to begin with, was Zelda Breath of the Wild, right? So, they're very used to using their own properties to push stuff. Part of me is kind of like, Nintendo, you're making $1.80 a month. Like, why are you even at this point? Like, why don't you just make it free? But I guess, all that extra little income adds up. So
it does cost money to keep those servers up. So, and I'm surprised they're giving the service as cheap as they are. That is $20 a year is just, that's perfectly A-okay with me. I cancel my Xbox service because I never use it. And then Sony, I rarely go online with Sony beyond downloading, but I'm paying $50 for that every year.
Yeah, and even like other services that aren't dealing with gaming, but things like Amazon Prime, that's like $100 a month. Or if you have a Netflix subscription, you're paying $10 a month for that. So that's $120 a year. So, $20 a month is very, very affordable. So, good on them for not taking advantage,
Yeah. I think they honestly just want enough to keep their servers going without like a loss on their end.
Mm-hmm.
Because $20 a year looks like a very business conscious decision. I don't think they're just simply, I think if they could, they would offer it for free. But I think that as reality comes down the line, they need to charge for it, or, the cost to keep the servers up are just going to like be against them.
Yeah, for sure. I did see also where they said other special features will be announced later. So there are going to be more features for the $1.80. I'm kind of interested to see what that'll be. I've seen some people speculate, like kind of jokingly, that like, watch like to be able to like watch like Hulu or Netflix on your Switch, you'll have to pay $1.80 a month.
I have a feeling they won't charge for that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think you have to be on PlayStation Plus to get on Hulu and Netflix.
No, you don't.
So I think it'll be the same.
Yeah, they want to be competitive, but other special features. Some people are kind of speculating about that. I'm pretty sure that they've probably already announced most of their biggest things, I would imagine, unless they still have one big item still left to announce. But having a back catalog of games, ability to have save data as a cloud backup, and online play, obviously. And then they've kind of clarified with the voice chat. I'm not sure what else they could really offer here. I mean, so
I'm waiting for the day that I can play things like Super Mario RPG, Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger on my Switch.
Yeah, that would be one thing they could bring up. Like, okay, other special features are this entire back catalog. I mean, that would be fantastic if they could do that. But
yeah. I think they're still going to offer some type of service for some. I think they're going to bring Virtual Console back in some way, shape, or form, because they said that they're not going to bring the Wii. I think what they meant was they're not going to bring the Wii or Wii U Virtual Console over. But I think they're going to do. I have a feeling, like subscription aside, because the subscription things like PS Plus, where they bring up free games once in a while for you can download, I still think they're going to offer some kind of service for downloading old titles, because I think what they just meant was that they are no longer going to carry over the virtual consoles of the past and make a whole new thing for the Switch. So rather, if it's like pay for something and have like access to the library separately from the $20, or have it like virtual console, or release them in some kind of special form and offer them as an individual download, something like that. I don't know yet, but I think it's just going to be slightly different. That what they said, that it's just not going to be virtual console. It will be something else. Because you think about it, their old catalog makes a lot of money. You put a popular game on there like Mario Kart 64 or Ocarina of Time or like any Zelda or Mario, or like if you brought the GameCube collection in, like Metroid Prime and Mario Sunshine, I mean, these make money. I mean, it would be foolish to not put some form of virtual console on there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I was in charge of Nintendo, I'd be like, why are we not capitalizing on this? If, it makes perfect business sense what they're doing. So
all they have to do is port it and make sure the emulator works with it. That's all they have to do. I mean, I don't mean to make it sound that easy. I'm sure it's not that easy. I'm sure there's other complications they have to do, especially like licensing with another company, and then making sure that it works with the emulator and whatnot. And I'm sure it does require work to do, but I don't think it's enough work that
I don't think it would be.
The cost of it is nowhere near the amount, like they would make a lot from it.
I don't think it would be that complicated. I mean, because if you look at other consoles like the PlayStation, right? Especially with the PlayStation Network on the PS3, I have so many games that I just bought off there that were on PS1, and like it's got a huge catalog on there. You can find almost anything, and I mean, if they did that, I don't think it would be that difficult for Nintendo to do that with their back catalog. Yeah, I mean, granted, Nintendo has a bigger catalog, but I mean, Sony's is nothing to scoff at. So
I'm baffled that Sony hasn't put the PS1 library in the PS4. That's essentially free money right there.
Yeah, I don't know why either. I mean, I don't know if it's because I don't know. I think I saw something.
PS2 games on there, but that's about it.
Yeah, I saw something where like somebody that the higher up at Sony said something along the lines of, "Oh, people this generation don't want to play PS1 games," and I'm like, "Okay, I do," but
I'm like, okay, but it's still like very low cost efficient to get them on there.
Yeah, we're not asking you to remake the game. It's like, so.
I mean, make a cheap emulator, throw it on there, and let us play PS1 games on it. That's too much.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. So it is what it is, but what are you going to do? Speaking of consoles, though.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Next news item. We have the Atari VCS. So this is the new Atari console that has been getting new information leaked about it, or drip. I don't want to say leaked, but like new information at a snail's pace coming out about it. But basically, Atari has said that this new system, it's going to be available for pre-order on May 30th. And they did give a price tag. It's a little cheaper than we originally thought, $199. And they're going to have a sleek black version called the Atari VCS Onyx, or a collector's wood front edition. So you can pre-order on May 30th, but it's going to be planned for spring 2019 when you would actually get it. Now, some of the actual details that are released about it are what's going to be inside it. So It's going to use the following. It's going to have custom AMD processor, Radeon graphics technology for 4K video resolution. It's going to support high dynamic range and 60 FPS content. And it's also going to have Bluetooth 5.0 and USB 3.0 and support for expandable storage. And it's also going to include all-time favorite arcade titles like Breakout, Asteroids, Missile Command, and others. However, other more modern games will be announced later in the year. So my general takeaway, I got some more thoughts on this, but my general takeaway from that is I would not pay $200 to pre-order this like on May 30th without them announcing what modern games are coming out later in the year, because we were kind of joking earlier, but I'm not going to play freaking Missile Command in 4K like or Breakout or Asteroids. Like that doesn't appeal to me.
You're not a true gamer, man, if you're not playing Preorder in 4K. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know if that game could really look that much better. I mean, there's not much going on. So I'm assuming they're going to do some like updates to these games. They're not going to be the original, because we've had a lot of upgrades to them visually over the years. So I'm assuming it's not going to be like the original Atari release version. But I don't know. I mean, I was kind of surprised that it's going to support 4K. That was surprising to me.
So what you're telling me is that if you want to pre-order the day they let you pre-order it, you have to put down $200 up front?
That's a good question. I just assumed that because they've been doing a lot of a portion of this was funded through crowdfunding. So that's a good question, because usually you don't actually now, huh?
Because usually when you pre-order for something like Amazon or GameStop,
you don't have to pay till it's shipped.
Yeah, well, Amazon, or yes, right GameStop, depending, but usually it's about $50. They cost is like the minimum you can do to reserve it.
You're bringing up some good points here. So now I'm thinking about this, because I originally saw $200, and we were kind of speculating because we saw a few places that they're originally planning on $300. So I saw 200, and I was like, well, $200, and it does 4K. It claims to be able to do 60 frames per second. It's got Linux on there, so you could conceivably do some cool stuff with that, or get some cool games on there. It's got expandable storage. I was like, maybe it might be kind of cool depending on like later announcements. But if this is a pre-order for 200, I wonder if that's not the actual price, in 2019.
Yeah, but if the information you given me, and they don't have anything to show off major beyond the basic what they have, and if they're telling me, oh, major brands are coming to it, that's not good enough. You need to show something to prove to me that your console has the capabilities to being a powerhouse. They still have not done this yet.
Yeah, well,
I wouldn't even pay $25 to reserve this.
Yeah, well, when they say that other modern games will be announced later in the year, I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to get it from that, but I'm not getting excited. What that tells me is that they're trying to convince other major publishers to publish on that system, and they haven't really convinced anybody yet to sign the dotted line. So I would be kind of like, well, what if I buy this thing and then like we don't get anything? Did I just pay? Because one of the other things they said it'll do is it's playing on being able to play like Netflix and all that type of stuff, which you would expect. So I would be kind of concerned that I just paid $200 for something to watch Hulu on.
I mean, we have pulled the same crap also. They were like, oh, we're working with major companies to get our console up and going. This is going to be like the ultimate Android machine. And it was almost nothing that it promised to be, even down to like a really crappy controller.
Yeah.
I mean, Atari can prove me wrong, but so far they have not shown anything that makes me want to say I will pay $200 for this.
Well, if you think about the amount of cost that goes into developing, like, for example, right now there's a lot of PS5 rumors, which we'll talk about later. Dude, it costs billions of dollars in research to develop a new console, right? So if they're trying to compete at that level or even within that realm, even the Nintendo Switch, I'm sure that costs a fortune over, however much time. So the idea that like I don't even see Atari having that kind of revenue.
You know, speaking of the Switch,
Mhm.
you know the whole thing where they were able to hack into the Switch and already get homebrew started with it?
No, I don't. Tell me about this.
Okay, well, I'll tell you how this has to do with the Atari. Trust me.
Okay.
It's so recently, allegedly, homebrewers were able to get into Nintendo's software, and actually how they're able to do it, and they're able to easily homebrew it now on their end at least, is there is a flaw in the programming of the processor chip in there that lets you bypass it and homebrew it. And the problem is the only way to get rid of that flaw that lets you get past is you have to replace the entire processor itself, which Nintendo obviously can't do with the 17 million they shipped. So you have 17 million units out there right now, and it's going to be more because you can't just simply swap a processor out of a Switch.
I mean it's going to be a while.
Money to get one in there that works like it, or wait till the next iteration for it, because you can't do that because developers are going to have problems programming it. So Nintendo's in the corner with that, and the homebrew is not openly accessible, and you still have to do some trial and tribulation to get into it, but it is possible to get into it, and Nintendo can't do anything about it. So obviously the homebrew community is wanting a Switch right now to homebrew and have it on the go or play it at home. So Atari right now is advertising that it's Linux friendly because they're hoping to at least get the homebrew scene onto their console.
But it's not portable, so it's not portable. So
homebrewers rather just pay, I would imagine, $100 more and get the Switch, homebrew it, and then they would have a homebrew device they can take on the go or have it at home and put it on the TV. And the best Atari can do is be on the TV. And which one sounds more enticing to you if you're a homebrewer?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, the Switch. Well, I mean, the thing with the Atari is like, it seems like I swear to God, their business model is 10 years too late. Like if this thing would have came out 10 years ago and they would have been like in 2008 and it would have been like, yeah, it's going to run on Linux. It's going to have expandable storage. It's going to be this thing for indie gaming. Basically, you're going to be able to change things and kind of make the system how you want. Like, I think they would have had a chance of having a success here, but man, in 2018, a lot of this is old news, you know?
Yeah, I think the only way to get homebrewers excited about it is if one of them finds a way to do some form of exploit that like you can't do on anything else. And that may entice people, or at least homebrewers, into buying it. But I can't imagine it being able to do what you can't just do with a PC, at least on the homebrewing side with Linux.
Yeah. So basically, I'm still like, I'm kind of impressed that like they, at least right now, you can pre-order it for $100 less than they were originally stating. I mean, that is the good direction for them, but I think at this point, I'm still not convinced to buy it because I would be afraid that I would spend $200 on what would essentially become a Netflix machine. You know?
I mean, does it even have a Blu-ray player?
Well, that's the thing too. I didn't see a Blu-ray drive, and I know that like, you know, Blu-rays are slowly going out of style here. But I mean, if I'm going to pay $200 and I'm not going to be able to play anything but Breakout and 4K, like at least let me watch a Blu-ray. You know? Yeah,
I have a feeling with the major people they're talking about, it's not going to be. I don't think you're going to see Beyond Good and Evil 2 on the Atari.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
I mean,
well, I wonder if their whole business model is geared towards knowing that this isn't going to be a mass selling item. Maybe they're really trying to pigeonhole it towards a very targeted audience of people that are still nostalgic about the Atari, right? So maybe a very small audience, and hopefully maybe they can make a profit off this. But I don't know. This seems like a odd thing to do.
And I'll reiterate again, I don't think there'll be anything particularly wrong with the hardware. I think they will give you exactly as they advertised. But I
don't think anyone's going to use it at its full potential.
Yeah. I mean, what I argue is just its lasting appeal, which I don't think it has one right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, currently it's good. Yeah. Anyways, so I could rephrase everything I've already said, but that's pretty much my thoughts on it. I'm excited to, I don't want to say excited, but I'm anxious to hear some more about this. Maybe, in October, November, we start hearing what modern games will be announced on this system. Clearly they're not going to be something like Horizon Zero Dawn or something like that, right? Something that's really pushing a console to its limits, but I could see something kind of fun, something that might come out on the Switch, maybe something on here also, but I don't see anything major because I could see either Sony or a Nintendo saying, yeah, you want your game coming out on the Switch, you're not going on the Atari.
I mean, what major games could they sell that I won't likely get on my PS4 already?
Well, that's the other thing too. Like, if I already own a PS4, so why would I buy the Atari? So
yeah, or I mean, someone can say to me, it's like, well, not everyone has a PS4, Xbox, or PC, and maybe we're just going in the thing for the first time. It's like,
but if you don't have,
why would you get this over a PS4?
If you don't have a PS4 or an Xbox or a Nintendo Switch or a 3DS or a PC, odds are that you're not in the loop about the Atari box coming out.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It is.
So, yeah. But anyways, enough of that. We'll see what happens, but I'm kind of...
They're welcome to prove me wrong. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, exactly. But lastly, we have a topic suggested by one of our listeners, Joe Owl. I don't know if I'm saying that name right. Please let me know so I don't have to keep saying that. But he or she suggested, what would you guys like to see the PS5 feature besides being a graphical upgrade to the PS4? This question kind of, at first I was like, oh, okay. But then I started thinking about it, and it's actually an interesting question because there's been all this talk about the PS5 coming out, and very few people have stopped to think well, what does the PS4 not do currently that makes me want to buy a PS5? And I have to be honest, I'm perfectly still fine with a PS4. There's not enough that I feel like I need a new console,
Yeah. I mean, I'm content with the PS4. I don't even have a PS4 Pro because, I mean, it only just makes games run slightly better. I don't even have a 4K TV, so there's not much reason for me to get a PS4 Pro. I mean, it's definitely a nice console, but I'm on the boat with you on that. It's, I'm just fine with the PS4 currently.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if I had to think about it, for a PS5, what would make me excited feature wise that is not currently in the PS4? I think if they're either able to figure some way out to go mobile like the Switch does, or I don't know, I guess if they went all in on the VR, I'd be interested. But because he's saying, what would you guys like to see the PS5 feature besides being a graphical upgrade? And I'm kind of thinking the PS5, that's all that it's really going to be, is just a graphical upgrade to the PS4. I'm trying to imagine what else it could have. And I mean, it's kind of hard to, I might look back at this 4 years or 5 years from now and say what an idiot, after the PS5's actually out. But I don't know. I mean, besides small things like having the entire PS1 library, maybe if the PS5 could actually definitely go backwards compatibility. So I would like to be able to just stick a PS4 disc into a PS5 and be able to play it. Features like that would definitely be exciting to me.
I think that one will be possible because the reason you likely don't see PS3 games being backwards compatible in 4 is because PS3 actually had a complicated processor chip in it, which probably, and Sony definitely wanted to get out of that and make a more accessible chip for developers. So that's likely why PS3 backwards compatibility wasn't brought over. But I'm sure with PS5 that they will use this similar technology that you can play both PS4 and PS5 games on it.
And that was a major selling point for the PS2. I remember when I got the PS2, like I was really excited that I could just stick my PS1 games in there and play them. You know?
Oh yeah, I mean, like my PS1. I mean, the only time I've used my PS1 again after that was when I tried to get the Excalibur 2 and FF9, which requires using a PS1 to my knowledge, because you had to open up the disc and or open up the panel to skip the cutscenes. So to make the time that needed. But besides that, I put my PS1 games in my PS2.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that would be a really, really good feature to have. One thing I am thinking they could have, which I'm not sure would make me that excited, but they've been doing a lot of like streaming games, so you don't have to download them. If the PS5 featured that, I don't think that would excite me, but I could see them going that route. You know, what about you? You think that?
In terms of being like the Switch, I kind of hope they do like they obviously do it better, but like a kind of Vita 2, where you can take it with you, and then when you come home, you can put it on a dock, take it out, and turn it into a PlayStation controller, your like Joy-Con like things, and like play it like that. I do kind of hope to do something like that. Now with PS5, I do think they'll probably, like you said, go a little stronger on the VR. What I actually hope they do, and I don't know if the technology will be ready for it by the time, but I'm speaking in an idealistic world here, not a realistic one. I would like to see better implementation of augmented reality on it. I would like it, like if I was playing like a JRPG, say I was playing Final Fantasy 18 or something like that, or the
Final
demo,
Fantasy 7.
Yeah, or the demo of FF7 remake, and I'm playing it, and with the glasses I have on, a menu can be to the side, and I can pick like equipment, like going through like this equipment I want to use with it, and I don't have to transition into a menu. I mean, stuff like that is really cool, I think. And of course, make it optional for people who, have trouble using that type of thing, but like offer the technology in some way for it. I think they're going to offer stuff like that. I think console wise, it's going to be like PS3 to PS4, where it's just going to be a more powerful console. But I think they're going to try to experiment with things like that, or better ways to use the VR. I don't think the VR will come with it. I think it'll be a separate thing again. And because I think it's too much of a luxury item still, but who knows, maybe by the time PS5 is actually a thing, VR may be a lot more accessible. So maybe it could come with it. But if I'm thinking like 2018 right now, it's definitely a luxury item.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the upgrade from the PS3 to the PS4, right? That to me was kind of a boring upgrade because the graphics looked better. I mean, everything was better, but that was about it. I mean, it had a much cleaner user interface. You could do a lot of things. Actually, you could do the same things. It just looked cleaner. But so that was kind of cool. So I kind of think I'm with you. They're going to try to change it up somehow, because I can't see them just sticking to the same formula of just coming out with another PS4 that makes games look even better. Yeah. I mean, maybe some kind of maybe the voice recognition, so games you could have the option of, I don't know, trying to, instead of having dialogue wheels, just say what you want to say or whatever. I don't know. That's kind of advanced, but
I think they tried that with Seaman on the Dreamcast.
Yeah,
I remember speaking into a mic. The results varied. I mean, I had Leonard Nimoy like saying things back at me, but besides that,
yeah, that was one of those.
It was cool for the time, but today it's I mean, I wouldn't exactly recommend it. You can watch an Angry Video Game Nerd video on it. That one's pretty funny,
dude. Yeah, when I first saw a commercial for Seaman, like I remember I was actually kind of excited. I was thinking about saving up my allowance for a Dreamcast, and then I saw a commercial for Seaman. I was like, this console looks ridiculous.
But all right, imagine this. Imagine the Vita 2 comes out the way I said, where it's like a console handheld hybrid type of thing.
Yeah.
Then they have the PS5. Imagine that, like, if you had like good Wi-Fi or something, that your device linked to the PS5 and your PS5 could stream itself like the Vita does right now, like the PS4 and the Vita, taking that to the next step, and with the better hardware they have, I mean, they could make it so it feels perfect on like the Vita 2.
Oh, I'm with you. I think they could definitely do that
out somewhere.
Yeah, I think they could definitely do that, and I think that'd be a good move. And I've seen a couple of different kind of articles just writing about, well, the Switch is basically everything the Vita tried to be, right? The original, but better. So, I mean, I think that Sony has had that in mind for a while, at least that getting to that point. So I could see that being something the PS5 features, and I think that would be a great addition. I think that's more realistic too, probably, than coming out the gates hot with like virtual reality. That would be, I think that could be something maybe like the PS6, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the downside to what I'm saying is that the Vita was not a big success. I mean, it did pretty decent.
Well, it wasn't
in Japan,
a success because they wouldn't lower the price.
Yeah, their pricing issues are like the PS4 was very surprising to me that they actually had it at a reasonable price, because Sony is very well known for overpricing their stuff. The Vita came out, it was $250 itself.
Yeah.
And then the get the 32 gigabyte card at the time was $100. 32 gigabyte. Even during 2012, 32 gigabytes was not that much, especially for something they were heavily
it's not
advertising the digital download aspect of it. Even though you could play physical copies, a lot of them were still digital though. And they were like, yeah, cough up $100 more and you get 32 gigabyte, which,
and you don't even have a game,
which I did back then. And I coughed $100. I wanted that 32 gig stick, and I was like, whatever. But I mean, Sony would obviously have to market it right and do something again. I mean, they probably wouldn't beat the Switch with a Vita 2, but they could still be a powerful competitor like they were, like the PSP was to the DS. Like the DS dominated, but the PSP was a fantastic alternative.
Yeah.
And the Vita could have been, I mean, the Vita is, I hate ripping on the Vita because the Vita is really a great piece of hardware that had a pretty good lineup of games, but I mean, its lasting appeal was just nowhere near as much as 3DS. Like everyone jumped ship to 3DS, like developer wise. So
yeah,
it's a damn shame because, you know, the Vita really is a great piece of hardware. Yeah.
My whole issue with the Vita was just the price the whole time, because that's just too expensive, man. especially for like a handheld, because I don't know, handhelds to me, and I think most people, they just kind of have this vibe that it's going to be lesser quality than a console. And when you want me to pay basically as much money as a console for a handheld, it's just, I don't know, I have a hard time doing it.
I think that'd be the first thing they have to do, is make sure they advertise it as a handheld. Like the features it can do. That was another thing with the Vita. They try to sell it as a console gaming on the go, which is not what people wanted. Like the Switch did well in advertising that it is a console and a handheld. Like they somehow magically found
the
a way to make
handheld
that
is
work
the
in that
secondary
market.
part of it. It's not the main feature, but it is. But like they advertised it like, no, you sit on the couch, you play it. Oh, you got to go. Okay, let me take it off and I'll play it on the go. But they kind of, it was kind of focused like your primary focus should be playing on the TV. You know, from what I saw with the commercials anyway. So
yeah, and then the Vita was like, you'll have console-like games on your handheld, so it'll be like you're playing a console on the handheld. It's like people are like, I kind of want handheld stuff.
Yeah.
So. I mean, there's so many reasons why the Vita failed, but yeah, I mean, I'm not criticizing the hardware or software. I mean, both of those were fantastic. Just Sony just dropped the ball on so many things.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think just in general, though. I mean, I think Sony kind of realizes they need to change up the formula here. I mean, I don't see with Microsoft. It seems like they're hell bent on being the most powerful system on the market, and I think like we're kind of past that now. I don't think that really excites people as much anymore, especially now that you just go get a gaming PC if you want to spend that much money. So I think Sony kind of realizes, I would assume, that they can't just come out with a $700 console and that looks amazing and expect people to buy it.
And don't expect PS5 anytime soon. They openly said that themselves. And they even said just recently that do not expect anything hardware-wise at this E3. So, I mean, I wouldn't put your hopes up high for that.
Yeah. I've seen some people state that they're expecting it's either November this year or November next year is Sony's like 30th anniversary for the PlayStation. And some people have speculated like, oh, they're going to try to announce the PS5 then. I think that would be cool as a coincidence, but Sony's not going to do that if they're not ready. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, if it's not a good time to do it, then, I wouldn't expect them to do it. I mean, if they're already planning on announcing it in 2019, then why not just wait till the anniversary? But I don't see them launching this console early just to hit that date, so.
And just remember, PS3 was from 2006 to 2013. So that's a very long while for a console. And that's both Sony and Xbox have been advertising that this is the console they want to stick with for a good long time. So don't expect either till I would say as far as 2022.
Yeah, and this is coming full circle again, this conversation, because just like we started off saying, I'm perfectly fine still with the PS4. Like it's not like I turn it on and I'm like, man, like I just really need a PS5, like I feel like there's still a lot of mileage to go on the system, especially with the fact that they just came out with the Pro. I mean, I still want to get that eventually. So, like I said, I think in a previous podcast, I said, I think they're eventually going to phase out the original PS4 for just the Pro. I think that's going to happen before the PS5 comes out. So I still think there's a long ways to go on it. So
yeah, that PS4 momentum has not stopped yet. I mean, Sony sales are still skyrocketing like crazy. This is they're going to get, it's possible that they'll meet the PS2 in sales, and PS2 and DS are I think the top two selling gaming devices ever right now.
Yeah, I mean, when you're just absolutely killing it, one advantage you can have as a company is you can just sit back and wait and see what other companies do. And Nintendo is really not trying to compete in that realm that they're currently in. So I think they're going to just sit there and wait. And I mean, they're developing their ideas, but I think they're going to wait to see what Microsoft announces.
Man, Nintendo's always doing their own thing. I wouldn't even count them in the Sony and Microsoft races.
Well,
they're racing each other.
It's a different market.
And the Nintendo's the kid playing with the daisy, or playing with the flowers in the field. It's while the other two are racing against each other.
Yeah. So, but I mean, well, that's just generally my point, though. They're not too concerned with Nintendo. I think they're just going to wait to see what Microsoft does, and they'll just try to make something that's either more competitively priced, or it's just more powerful, or has more interesting features, whatever it is. But I don't see them being the first one out the gate, so Microsoft can, try to come out with something that's better. So,
Yeah. I mean, I would talk about Microsoft, but that's like a whole podcast topic in itself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So maybe a future episode, but
if people want it, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, that about wraps this episode up. I had a lot of different topics here. Next week, we'll have some new topics, but if you guys have a topic suggestion, please leave a comment in the YouTube video here, and we will take that into consideration next week. We thought this was a really, really good topic from Joe Al. So we really appreciated that. And if you're still listening at this point, we'd appreciate if you can subscribe to our YouTube page. Lets us know that you're listening. And we're going to do some kind of episode or some special deal for our 100th mark here. We're getting close, but I think we're going to wait till we're a little bit above that in case somebody decides they want to jump ship at the last moment. But we'll have to see. But all right, guys, we'll see you next week.
All right, take care, everyone.